Hello, my name is Claudia Zevallos. I am from the movie Day of Days, and you're watching Mr. Media.
I'm Bob Andelman, and this is a Mr. Media interview. You can see, hear, and read more than 1,000 of my previous celebrity interviews at MrMedia.com. That's MRmedia.com. Subscribe to the show on YouTube, iTunes, Apple News, Google Play, or Stitcher, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. On today's show, I'll welcome Peruvian actress Claudia Zevallos. How'd I do?
I'm great, Bob. Thank you for having me. How are
Okay,
you?
good, good. And Claudia is the star of a new indie drama, Day of Days, with which she co-stars with Tom Skerritt. Stick around. Day of Days is a painful movie to watch. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a pretty fascinating two-person indie drama about an old man's last day on Earth and the substitute nursing aide who picked the wrong day to be on call. What makes the movie painful is seeing actor Tom Skerritt playing such an elderly, infirm old codger. He's too damn good at convincing the viewer that at any minute he could go. And you know Scarrett, come on. He's a beloved American character actor who has starred in MASH, Alien, Top Gun, my favorite, A River Runs Through It, Up in Smoke, and of course the television series Picket Fences. And then there is his beautiful co-star, Claudia Zevallos, a Lee Strasberg trained Peruvian actress who struggles to dissuade her one day charge of his notion that the only thing that lies ahead of him is a walk to a bright light at day's end. As Marisol, Zevallos has her own world of hurt and loss of faith to battle this day. Zevallos seems both familiar and exotic in the role, but she's a fresh face to us and a distinct talent, whose previous English language film roles include A Better Place. Claudia Zevallos, welcome to Mr. Media.
Thank you so much, Bob. That was such a beautiful introduction. Thank you.
It's delightful to have you here. And do you understand when I describe the film as painful to watch? I mean, it's hard. When the movie starts, we watch Tom Skerritt, and at every time the camera's on him, you feel like that's it. He's done.
It's very interesting what you're saying because it's been screened actually, and a lot of people have a different takeaway from the
Hmm.
movie. They have regrets, they have pain, as you've described it,
Mhm.
they have tears of joy, and I mean uncontrollable tears of joy for about 15 minutes, and I'm not exaggerating whatsoever.
Mhm.
So I think everybody walks away with their own experience, and I think that's what's the beautiful thing about about Day of Days,
Hmm.
and and of course about watching Mr. Scare, about Tom. He's such a great actor, and I mean, yeah, he makes you feel as if you are in the edge of your seat. This is it. He is going to go now,
Right,
right?
right, exactly.
Exactly. So, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, everybody has their own takeaway, really.
It was hard to. I mean, I remember, we'd watch him. I think Picket Fences here in the U.S. was on Monday nights at 8, maybe 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock, I think. And I remember watching it week after week. And now I tune into this movie, and the first thing I see every time the camera shows Tom Skerritt, oh my God, is he breathing? And I had to ask you, were there times where you came on and you'd walk into the room and he'd be lying there, and his mouth is open and he's supposed to be asleep, but you think, Tom, Tom, no, really, are you okay? I mean, tell me that he was in much better shape than the character he played.
Oh, he is, of course he was, but he is, I know he's about 81, and correct me
83,
if
I
I'm
think.
83
Yeah.
now. Wow.
And he's playing 91, right?
Uh, exactly. So let's just say he is an 81 Tom Skerritt going on 59. He's
Good.
just so joyful. He is so great, and he's such a professional,
Hmm.
such a professional. And I think that he does not lose his joy, and he laughs at everything. He's funny. He's he's just a cool guy to hang around with. Let's just say that.
Now, this is a it's a very emotional role for you. I mean, hit you're motivated by his character and responding to him, but of course your character Marisol has her own thing going on. Is it difficult to prepare not just for the role, but knowing that there's just the two of you in this entire movie? How do you get ready for something like that day in and day out?
You know what I think? I think it's I think it's how first and foremost how you get along with the other actor person. I think it's all about that from the start. And getting ready for Marisol was pretty intense. Actually, Marisol, with without getting too actory, but just being really real with you,
Hmm.
she stayed with me, I want to say, for about 3 weeks to a month post wrapping in the picture.
Hmm.
I mean, it was myself in my own daily life. I would never have the guts to be a Marisol.
Hmm.
I wouldn't, because Marisol is just such an intense woman and has gone through so much. And she just had such big dreams of coming to America. But those dreams of coming to America were just not solely for her, were because she was also carrying and trying to live out her tia's, her aunt's dreams.
Hmm.
And when she gets together with Rafael, who is the father of Mateo, and she makes the crossing to Florida and she loses Mateo, she she prior to crossing, she's so with God. She is making the cross with God. I mean, she's pretty much partners with God. And post crossing and losing Mateo, she just becomes another woman. It's as if the moment she comes out of the water and this terrible storm she goes through the terrible storm and she comes out of the water. It's as if she peels off the Marisol who she left back in
Hmm.
Cuba, with all of the aunt's dreams, with all of the dreams of I just want to be a wife and a mother and have a family in America. All of that just gets peeled off and she becomes Mar y Sol, which actually means ocean and sun.
Hmm.
So she kind of puts a shield to that and goes to Los Angeles to get as furthest away as she can from the mar
Hmm.
and the sol, from the beach and the sun, which is Florida, right? And she just wakes up every day with Mateo, and she she becomes obsessed with the fact of trying to bury her fault within her and trying to trying to survive, because in a way she's not living she anymore herself. She is living the life because she did make that promise to her tia that she was going to be somebody in America as well. So it's I think after what I've kind of described, it was really intense, and it was really painful, and I learned a lot after we were done shooting. And there was a sort of loneliness which I felt, and but I learned a lot, and admire I know I'm a woman, and I may sound sexist, but I learned to admire women a lot more, especially moms.
Hmm,
I'm not a mom yet, so
okay, interesting.
yeah.
And now I mentioned that you studied at the Lee Strasberg Institute in LA,
Yes,
right? Um, what did you learn there that helped you particularly with this role, if anything?
there was a particular teacher there with whom I've remained friends. His name is Larry Gold. He was fantastic. He what worked in the way of being there at the moment
Hmm.
and being really truthful in every single beat. Because even though when you're not saying something, there are those beats which are between words or sentences are much more important a lot of the
Hmm.
times. So that's what I learned from him. And just to also to really getting to know yourself a lot more. When you go to certain places where you think, I don't want to go there because I will immediately start crying or whatever, go there because it helps yourself to learn a lot more of what you have going on inside. So that's what I learned.
Hmm.
That's what it yeah, to be at the moment of the moment.
And you're working with this very experienced actor, Tom Skerritt, who
Yes.
can be very intense and is in this film at various times. How did your preparation and your training, and then when you start working with Tom, how different or similar is the way he approached the role?
I think he was as intense. I think he was as professional. And I think he was as prepared as everybody thinks of him. He was a gentleman. He made me laugh, which was really important. So we just got along really well.
Hmm.
And he he was for me, he was fantastic to watch. For me, he was such an honor to work with,
Hmm.
especially just being Day of Days being one of my first big movies. It was such a gift for me.
Did he, at any point, did you pick up any advice from him? Did he tell you any stories about, he's been in this industry an awful long time. Did you pick up anything in particular from him?
What I picked up from him was he was always on time, first and foremost, and he always had a smile. And it didn't matter what what we were working on that particular day. He always had a smile, and he was a very much a professional, a gentleman for sure. And he always wanted to know what was going on. And I always saw in his eyes, check how Kim, the director, how what was going on with him.
Hmm.
That's what I saw in his eyes, as if how what is Kim going to tell me? How is Kim's day going right now? Just trying to read the director. And I thought, wow, okay, what a what a great thing for me to pick up on because to learn about from that is it's I mean it makes your job so much easier because you just want to know how the director is feeling, how what he is maybe about to tell you, not assuming, but just about because the director is who directs the whole thing. So he mainly wanted to know and get the feeling of the atmosphere, and especially with Kim. And I learned that, and I thought, wow, what a great tip to pick up on.
I'll point out the Kim you're talking about is Kim Bass, who's the director
Yes,
and producer. Kim Bass, uh, I don't know, I can't remember the name of Kim's production company now. Is it?
Bass Entertainment
Bass
Picture.
Bass Entertainment.
Yes.
So, and if anyone's interested, you can go back in the archives and you find an interview with Kim on for his movie Kill Speed. So there's that. And what was it like working with Kim as the director? What does he bring that surprised you, or did you learn anything from him?
Wow, did I learn everything? I was just gonna say, did I learn everything from Kim? Everything? No. Uh, Kim is a very artistic writer. And, as I was reading the script, which I could not believe I had in my hands, and I was going to play Marisol, written by Kim and his brother Kyle Bass. I mean, just reading the script, it was so artistic and he was so detailed. And on, I mean, while we were shooting, so detailed and he was so helpful. And he had such a an easy way, but also a very smart way of getting what he wanted out of you to the point that you did not notice,
Hmm.
especially on the intense scenes. You noticed after. Now I notice because you go back and you think, okay, well, I did this because of this. That's what I tend to do. And you learn from it, right? So, but that's what I can say about him. I mean, what a what a talent.
Hmm.
And but mostly that, what an easy way and just such a detailed way to direct. And when he and Tom were talking, I mean they had a blast. Tom loved them. And for me, please, of course. I still can't believe I had this script in my hand. So, yes.
Well, and it's interesting if people who don't know this. Kim is. I'm only going to point this out. Well, I'm going to point this out for a reason. Kim is a rarity in Hollywood. An African American writer, director, producer, uh, produces his own films. But in this case, it's interesting that he and his brother wrote this film about a Cuban woman and an elderly bus driver, white bus driver, Tom Skerritt, um, and cast a Peruvian actress as a Cuban woman. Which and Americans are a little dumb about this stuff. There's a big difference between Peru and Cuba. There's things that are different. Even before, when you said Cuba, and then you said Cuba, and I thought,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, there's little subtleties, and it's just interesting that of all the voices that might be in Kim and Kyle Bass's heads, was this story of this elderly white guy and this young Cuban immigrant, and I just thought, wow, I mean, that's just not where you would expect this to go.
That's true. And as you said, cast a Peruvian woman in the role of a Cuban woman. I mean, I just could not have planned it better, I guess. I mean, first of all, what an honor. And as I said before, and especially playing this type of a woman.
Hmm.
And yeah, I feel so blessed. I
Okay,
feel so blessed.
that's right. Uh, how did you get involved? How did you wind up in the role? Was it written with you in mind, or did you come did you connect with Kim after? How did that all happen?
Well, Kim had seen my work before, and he called me, and all of a sudden, I mean, we never really lost touch. So we would always converse from time to time. And when he asked me if I could do a Cuban accent, I said, I think so. Of course, you're never going to say, "Oh no, absolutely not, I can't."
Right.
Of course, and while I'm putting him on hold, I'm dialing, my dialect coach, but or texting her. But I said, "Yes, I think I can," but that was it for the moment. And then after that, we conversed a little bit more, and he told me a little bit about Marisol, and I was just wowed by the way he described the character. But I didn't know anything about Marisol, being in mind for Marisol myself. So, but then afterwards, when he sent the script over and he said, "Well, what do you think?" And I thought, "Would you like to play this role?" Bob, at the moment when I opened the script, I mean, we actors always go through the script and we see, okay, how many lines do I have?
Right. Right. Right.
Right? Okay, this is where my character starts and how many lines and how many pages. And as I began going like this through the script, and I see all this dialogue, all this dialogue, all this dialogue, and Walter and Marisol, and Walter and Marisol, and Walter and Marisol, and Walter and Marisol. I just, I, tears just started coming down my face because I thought, wow, I just felt so blessed at the moment. And I thought, I think this is what I've been envisioning. And I guess you can say waiting for, but mostly envisioning and feeling myself doing, working. And I couldn't believe it, that I was going to have this privilege of playing this fantastic woman. As a matter of fact, I remember closing my laptop again and thinking, no, this is not real. And because you do that and then reopening it, and I thought, holy shit, this is real. so so yeah, it's that's what happened. And then production began, and here I am standing alongside with one of the most respected veteran and most professional actors. I could not have planned it better. I could not have envisioned it better. I mean, Tom Skerritt has worked with Mr. Ridley Scott, so, and all other such respected directors as well. So, so yeah, I mean, I guess it just works out sometimes in a way that everything just happens, and sometimes happens so fast that you have to, even though you're trying to keep up, especially because you're working with such a talented people. Kim Bass, his brother, who is a playwright, and Tom Skerritt, and everybody else, Deanna Shapiro. You don't want to let down the casting director, Lisa Hamill, and the executive producers who are there. So you're trying to keep up, but then you also stop and think. The little bit time that you have to stop and think. Hi, hello, you are here. You have to just take a look around and see what's happening. You are doing this. Even if it's, I don't know, 10 seconds, but you do, because it happens so fast. And yeah, so. That's what I can
That's
say.
good. That's good. So we're going to kind of wrap up here, but so what's next? Do you have another role lined up?
At the moment, I don't know what's coming next. There are several things on the table which I can't talk about right now, but all I can ask is for you to please cross your fingers. So, um, and hope that everything goes well and that I choose well, right? Because I said everything just goes in so fast that you have to just stop and think and rethink sometimes. But there's no time to grab that rethink moment.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's what's going on.
Well, of course, as we're speaking, the film is still looking for its distribution deal. So people in Hollywood haven't most people haven't seen the film yet. So
No,
once they see the film, you'll have a lot of opportunity. I think it's a really good role.
thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much.
All right, so folks, listen. Find out where you can see Day of Days, starring Tom Skerritt and Claudia Zevallos. You can go to the movie's website at bassentertainmentpictures.com. That's Bass, B-A-S-S, two S's, entertainmentpictures.com. You'll see a link there for Day of Days, and by the time you see this, you'll know exactly where you can see it. And what about you, Claudia? Do you have a website? Are you on Twitter, Facebook, things like that?
I'm on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter, although I rarely use them, which is really bad. I know my people have been telling me, okay, you really have to get on this.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram as well. I'm gonna try to push myself and get on the social media bicycle here. So yes. Oh, but by the way,
Yes.
Day of Days is premiering at the Women's International Film Festival in Miami,
Okay.
Florida, in November, November the 3rd.
Very nice. Well, yeah, you definitely want to get active with that social media.
Yes.
Beautiful women have it easy. You just post pictures, and people go, "Wow!" So you'll propel your career a lot faster by using the social media. I have no doubt. Claudia Zevallos, thank you so much for joining us on Mr. Media today.
Thank you so much, Bob. Thank you for having me.
I'm not going out tonight. I'm gonna sit at home in the dark, watching lights on the street tonight. Turn out the stereo receiver. Turn your back on the deceiver. It's a bad idea to believe her. A bad idea to believe her. Turn up the stereo receiver. Turn up the stereo receiver.
Mr. Media is recorded live before a studio audience full of dying old men who are not sure they're going to survive today's episode in the new media capital of the world, St. Petersburg, Florida. And then go ahead and sit back a little. Is that about where you're going to be comfortable?
Yeah, I'm just gonna cross my legs and let's go ahead and chat away.
Okay. At mrmedia.com. That's MR Media.
I mean, you
What?
have the trophy in
Okay.
America for saying my last name.
Oh, then you have low standards for us.
Hi, this is Rich Scheidner. And if you've ever wondered what it was like to be a stand-up comedian in the 1980s, I'm going to do you a big favor. Instead of billions of dollars for a time machine, you can just spend $24.95 and buy my new book, Kicking Through the Ashes: My Life as a Stand-Up in the 1980s Comedy Boom. It will save you money and give you thrills. It will take you there. Go to my website, richscheidner.com, go to amazon.com, and buy this book.